Hi, everybody. I thought I would make one more video because this is kind of funny, and I'd forgotten to tell anybody about it except for mentioning it in a PM to somebody. Um, so one of the rides I caught, and I caught several rides. Uh, Before I went, I had a couple of friends joking with me about how nobody was going to give me a ride if I was hitchhiking, uh, for fear that I was a serial killer. Of course, don't I look like one? So, but I did catch rides, like I said in the last video, and so what part of the way, I don't want to mention this guy by name because he got me really stoned. So, uh, dude I met bought me breakfast in Liberty, which like I said, was one of the best meals I've ever had in my life. And then got me really stoned and then offered to drive me the rest of the way to Williamsport. It's like 25 miles or something at that point, maybe 30. I don't remember, but it was basically the rest of the way. Meant I would be able to make that bus on time. So I was psyched. It was a really nice guy. I'd kind of forgotten that I was, you know, uh, concerned about this serial killer business until we're in the car. We're driving down the highway. This is 30 or 40 minutes in the car. And we get to talking about serial killers who hunt hitchhikers and hitchhiking serial killers who hunt people who pick up hitchhikers. Uh, Now, as you might imagine, I'm something of a true crime buff. I know a bit about serial killers. Uh, so did this guy. Um, in fact, we both knew way too much about serial killers. Uh, the pattern of this conversation was basically that he remembered everybody's name and the general outline of their crimes, and when he brings somebody up, I generally remembered some of the stranger close details. But in general, we both knew a lot about serial killers. We didn't run out. Like we discussed a couple of dozen serial killers. Now, at some point while this conversation was going on, I realized if I was a serial killer picking up a hitchhiker, I might start this conversation about serial killers on purpose to amuse myself before closing in for the kill. And I just played it off. Like I didn't start acting nervous. In fact, I elaborately failed to act nervous. And while I'm doing this, I'm thinking, uh, if he's smart, he's thinking the same thing. At some point in this conversation, he's thinking, this dude I picked up knows a lot about serial killers. Uh, so I got nervous. Um, and and I don't know whether he got nervous because both of us were not acting nervous. But the climax of this conversation uh, was me telling the story of the Seminole Heights shooter. When I lived in Tampa, I delivered pizza in Old Seminole Heights for a regional chain, um, locally owned business, specifically our store. Uh, I guess I'm not working there anymore. I can tell you it's the Hungry Howie's is the name of the chain. Uh, Pretty good cheap pizza, really good depending on the location. Our food was really good. Um, so the old Seminole Heights, the Seminole Heights shooter was a serial killer who hunted in the neighborhood where I delivered pizzas, the exact specific neighborhood. And what he was doing was driving around in a car uh, and shooting people on the sidewalk. Seemed like pretty much his method was if he saw somebody alone, nobody else in view on the street either direction, he'd shoot them. A couple of people at bus stops. Uh, Got a prostitute I knew slightly. Uh, uh, so um, so yeah. sort of hunting in the nights or the evenings, and I wouldn't say a pizza delivery guy was exactly the target he was looking for, but close. I mean, he didn't shoot any pizza delivery guys, but that may be in part because, well, when this started happening, he's shooting one or two people a week, I think. Uh, First, Papa John's quit delivering, then Domino's quit delivering. So we were the only pizza place in the neighborhood delivering at all. Uh, we had a couple of delivery drivers. Um, at that point, I was the only one working at night, but then the day guy, young black dude, one of the victims shot on the sidewalk happened to be somebody he went to school with. It's a shame. So he quit. So I was the only pizza delivery guy in that neighborhood for, well, the duration of the crisis till they got the killer. I was working open to close, 12-hour shifts, munching Adderall to keep up. The boss was slipping me $50, $100 bonuses every now and then. The tips were phenomenal because nobody could get food delivered anywhere else. I still have photos on my laptop. I may attach one in a comment of our front window with the wanted poster for the serial killer with the photos of the victims on it, and next to it our help wanted drivers sign. Um, and At some point while I'm telling this story to this dude driving me to Williamsport, I just started sort of making it sound like maybe I was building up to revealing that I had been that killer. Like, it would have been really easy to pull a Holden Caulfield and like get to the end of the story and be like, and the killer was never found. And to this day, he roams the roads and dark bowers of Seminole Heights, uncaught, unknown, unnamed, and free to continue his killings. And that guy was me, but I didn't do it because he wasn't me, and they did catch him. In fact, I was delivering pizza like 2 blocks away when they had him cornered at the McDonald's where I worked. He worked at McDonald's, this serial killer. Uh, they caught him when he got weird at work and asked somebody else he worked with to put the gun he'd been shooting people with in the co-worker's work locker. I never heard any more details about that, but that was the story that went around the neighborhood. So yeah, I got to Williamsport safe. Dude was a really nice guy. I still got to call him and let him know I'm okay. Yeah, he wasn't a serial killer. I wasn't a serial killer. At least, well, maybe he just decided to let me go. But it was a little tense for a minute there. It was a little tense. It was fun. It's a fun kind of tense. No, nothing like a sense of possible imminent peril to spice your travel and adventure.